Okay, let's jump right in. Welcome, everyone, to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
We are getting into something really fascinating today. It's a close look at the life and career of, well, an absolute icon of American TV, Loretta Swit.
Yeah, we've been looking through some source material, specifically a script that kind of celebrates her whole journey. It gives a really good overview of her life and work.
Exactly. And our goal here, like always, is to pull out the key insights, maybe some surprising details, and really get a handle on what made her such a powerhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, you hear Loretta Swit, and your mind probably goes straight to Major Margaret, Hot Lips Houlihan from MAS.
Right, that's the big one.
And yeah, that's definitely our starting point. But this source material really emphasizes there's way more to her story than just the 4077.
It's interesting, too, because her path to, becoming this TV legend, it wasn't exactly direct.
Not at all. So Loretta Swit, born November 4th, 1937 in Passaic, New Jersey.
Okay.
The source kind of paints this picture of a working-class background. Her parents were Polish immigrants.
And get this, her first ambition, totally different. She wanted to be a ballerina.
A ballerina. That's quite a shift, right? From ballet shoes to army boots.
Haha, yeah. But the source points to this really pivotal moment for her.
Uh-huh.
She saw a production of The King and I on Broadway. And apparently that just lit a fire. She fell completely in love with theater.
Ah, okay. So that was the spark. That's when acting became the focus.
Seems like it. And then she got serious about it, trained formally at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York.
Right, the IDA. Which, like a lot of actors, led her to starting out in off-Broadway.
Mm-hmm. Paying her dues.
Yeah, and then slowly, through the 60s, she starts popping up on TV, little roles here and there, shows like The Doctors, Hawaii Five-0, building up that resume.
Exactly. Those early credits were important. But like you said, the really huge moment, the big break that changed everything that came in 1972.
Yep, getting cast in MA.
And MAH, the source reminds us, this wasn't just another sitcom. It was a cultural phenomenon. Huge. Absolutely defined an era. And her character, Margaret, was right in the thick of it.
And what's interesting about MAH looking back is how much it evolved. It started one way, but it tackled some really heavy stuff for TV back then.
Definitely. And Margaret's character changing was, central to that deepening of the show.
Yeah, the source highlights how she kind of started off almost a caricature, right?
Yeah.
Super strict, by the book, a bit stiff.
Right, the antagonist in some ways. But Loretta Swit, the source really credits her with bringing this incredible humanity to Margaret. She found the vulnerability in her, the unexpected humor, made her, relatable human. And that wasn't just the script. It was her performance week after week that shaped Margaret.
That evolution she brought was just essential. It gave the show so much of its heart, its emotional weight.
Totally. And then there's the nickname Hot Lips.
Ah, yeah. Always a bit controversial even then.
Right. And the source says Loretta kind of owned it, but she also actively pushed back, especially in interviews. She didn't want the character reduced to just that name.
Yeah, she fought for that depth she was creating to be seen. Good for her.
It shows, her having a say in how this character, who could have been very one-note, was perceived. Her acting deserved more.
It absolutely did. And the industry saw it too. 2 Emmy Awards for playing Margaret. Nominated, 7 times?
7 times, yeah. That consistent recognition year after year, it really tells you something about how good she was in that role.
Okay, here's something from the source that kind of blew my mind a little.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently she was almost replaced after the first season.
No way. Replaced. It's honestly hard to even picture MAH without her as Margaret Houlihan.
Right. Think about that character's whole arc, the chemistry she had, especially, with Alan Alda's Hawkeye. She just feels completely indispensable.
She was Margaret Houlihan. Her ability to go from that rigid comedy to moments of just real deep heartbreak. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, definitely. And the source points out specific moments where you really see that range. Like, remember the Nurses episode, season 3, I think? Margaret gives this amazing speech standing up for her nurses against some dismissive doctor.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't Hot Lips at all. That was Major Houlihan, showing real leadership, her principles. It added so much complexity.
Totally. And then the flip side, like in Margaret's engagement, where she finds out her fiancé is cheating, the source mentions how raw Loretta played that heartbreak.
That scene. That was a real turning point, I think, for how a lot of people saw Margaret. Suddenly, she wasn't just funny or annoying. She was someone capable of real pain, all down to Loretta's acting.
And she was there right to the very end, wasn't she? The finale, goodbye, farewell, and amen.
Yep.
Even though maybe her role was smaller in that huge ensemble piece, her being there felt necessary to close out the story properly.
So the show ends 1983. Huge potential, obviously, to be typecast forever as
Oh,
Margot.
for sure.
But the source makes a point that she consciously tried to avoid that. She took on different challenges.
You really did. Went back to the stage, her first love, starred in some really well-regarded plays like Shirley Valentine, the Vagina Monologues.
Yeah, going back to theater like that, it wasn't just about finding work. It shows she was committed to the craft, separate from the TV fame.
Mm-hmm.
And she did other things, too, like voice work. She was in the Transformers cartoon back in the 80s.
Ah, right. Forgot about that. And she kept appearing on TV, doing guest spots on big shows through the 80s, 90s, like Murder, She Wrote, The Love Boat, Cagney and Lacey.
Right, she stayed present. But maybe one of the most significant things the source talks about in her post-MA Apes life is her activism.
Yes. This became a huge part of her life, a really passionate animal rights activist.
Worked a lot with PETA, spoke out against fur. She even designed her own line of cruelty-free jewelry. This wasn't just like lending her name casually. She was really involved.
Deeply involved. And this is where the source brings up a sort of interesting angle on her career choices after hitting that peak of fame. She used that platform, that visibility, for causes she genuinely cared about, put her energy there.
Right, which kind of leads into this question the source sort of implicitly asks. Why isn't she maybe talked about constantly today? Maybe less visible than some other stars from that era of iconic TV.
Yeah, it's a fair question.
And the source seems to suggest it boils down to those choices she made. She was careful about roles. She wasn't chasing the spotlight constantly. She guarded her privacy.
Right.
And she really focused on work that meant something to her, like the activism.
So the picture the source paints is less about just being a TV star and more about being an artist who made very deliberate decisions about her life and career, using her influence selectively.
Exactly. She's 86 now, according to the source. And yeah, maybe her career after MAH was quieter in terms of tabloid headlines, but her impact through that show, it's undeniable. MAH is still so beloved. Margaret is still such an iconic character. Loretta's legacy there is secure.
It really is quite a story when you lay it all out, from, growing up in New Jersey, dreaming of ballet, finding the stage, becoming this massive TV star, and then channeling all that into fighting for causes she believed in.
And her journey, as laid out here, kind of shows you, well, it shows you can have this huge career, but you can also reinvent yourself, find meaning in things beyond just the job, beyond chasing fame all the time.
It really does offer maybe a different way to think about what a successful legacy even means, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Thinking about her path, based on what we've discussed from this source, perhaps it really highlights that quiet power. The power of an artist who chooses meaningful work, sticks to their values, instead of just constantly needing to be in the spotlight.
Makes you think.
Yeah. What does that tell us about defining success on your own terms? Definitely something to chew on after hearing her story.